I hope, sir, you're not expecting anything different from that tomorrow, because I don't think you will get anything different from that tomorrow, whether as the Attorney General of this country or as a private citizen. That is Pam Bondi. Yeah. That is all Pam Bondi can do. That is all she is worth in this conversation for Donald Trump, is to do that. So what is your expectation when you get her there? We were talking a little bit about already the rumbling of, maybe limiting her time in the room. Republicans don't want this conversation to begin with for a whole host of reasons, given how the elections are looking and the politics generally right now for them. So put her in, get her out quickly. Her attitude will carry them in the moment she's there. What are you expecting?
Yeah, look, I think first, Pam Bondi is a central figure, maybe the central figure in this cover-up of the Epstein files, right? And we saw there her modus operandi when she's asked difficult questions. It's to be combative, to be aggressive. It'll be interesting tomorrow to see whether when the cameras aren't on, I think what we saw there, she was performing for her boss at the time, Donald Trump. That boss fired her anyway. Maybe he didn't like the performance. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see what she does. Look, there is a subpoena in effect. Chairman Comer has allowed her to kind of slide around that and have a behind-the-scenes, not videotaped, transcribed interview tomorrow. But if we don't get answers to the questions we asked, as the ranking member said, we'll bring her back in the future.
Well, you'll have to.
Answers.
When you have the gavel, you'll have to, I think.
One of the elements of tomorrow that I find particularly interesting, Congressman, is that Pam Bondi is being represented at her interview by Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon. You have legal experts who say that raises the prospects that the DOJ could direct Bondi to not answer some questions posed by the committee. DOJ said it routinely provides staff to assist with congressional engagement involving past department staff actions. I mean, I think the hope was that when she was outside the building, there would be a different level of candor or transparency that, as Michael said, is advertised as not being the case.
Yeah, look, I think Pam Bondi wants to remain in the good graces of Donald Trump. We learned this week that she's appointed to this AI committee despite having literally no experience on that subject. And I think Harmeet Dillon's presence there is to make sure Pam Bondi stays in line tomorrow. I think that's why she's there, and the rest of the DOJ attorneys who will be there tomorrow. There's no question about that.
It also feels like, honestly, Harmeet Dillon, ironically, is also somebody that y'all might want to speak to if Democrats take back the House, because Harmeet Dillon is at the heart of a lot of what's going on when it comes to this elections, this oversight, I'm using air quotes for the folks at home, that the government is trying to exert over our electoral infrastructure. Right. She is carrying out a lot of that.
Yeah, she's a key figure in the weaponization of the Trump DOJ. There's no question about that. She's also all but auditioning to be the permanent attorney general. So there's an interesting little soap opera taking place between Todd Blanche and Harmeet Dillon. I think we'll see Harmeet Dillon come out before the Fox News cameras tomorrow to make a little performance to make her case to Donald Trump that she should be the attorney general.
Michael, it's just crazy to me. I know why they're not recording it, right? I know why your Republican colleagues, congressmen, are making sure she's not under oath. It's just still so frustrating for me. I know why they're doing it, but can the people at home understand that they are doing this because they know the video would be damaging to them?
Yeah, Congressman, you know, right? It's you don't want the camera on you when you're saying the words.
Right.
All right.
It's all part of the cover-up. I'll give you a little bit more detail on it. So, chairman of our committee, James Comer, might remember in 2020, after the election, he was one of the minority of House Republicans who voted to certify the elections. I don't know if one deserves credit for doing the obvious right thing, but he did the right thing in that moment. Since then, and especially during his chairmanship of this committee, he has been working desperately to bend the knee to Donald Trump because he's running for governor of Kentucky. And the only thing that could stop him is a MAGA candidate endorsed by Donald Trump. So James Comer has to do Trump's bidding. Tomorrow, not being videotaped for the American people, that's Trump's bidding. That's what James Comer and congressional Republicans are doing.
I just want to say, for the record, we really need to get over this inside the Republican Party, this idea that we're going to, kowtow the way they're kowtowing. You are not leading when you're doing that. You're bending over when you do that. And if that's comfortable for you as a politician, then the people that you are asking to vote for you should know that. And the thing they do about it is not vote for your dumb behind, because that's the best you can do, Mr. Comer, is exactly kowtow this way, or anybody else. We've seen good Republicans, Alicia, get kicked out of office for just doing the right thing in their job. As the congressman noted just now, Comer voted to certify the election, did the right thing, didn't want to overturn, knew the process, and now is doing the whole backstroke because he wants another office, a higher office, and doesn't want a MAGA candidate running against him. That's not leadership. That's pathetic.
Well,
but that's me.
And I keep going back, Michael, Congressman, to what is at stake here, which is, in one sense, these survivors who have fought so long for justice and accountability, and in a bigger sense, creating a world and an environment where these type of improprieties are not allowed and power is not abused. I want to connect two dots, though, because I do think the DOJ potentially going after E. Jean Carroll, or as it is now being reported, going after Reid Hoffman, that doesn't just send a message to Reid Hoffman or to E. Jean Carroll. It sends a message to every survivor out there who would consider coming forward about the long tail of retribution. I mean, I wonder if you've talked about this with the survivors as you're watching what's unfolding coming out of DOJ, the message that you think it sends, especially in contrast to an administration that ran on release of the Epstein files and has failed to live up to their own promise.
In conversations that I and others have had with survivors over the last year, time after time after time, they have shared the fears they have about coming forward and speaking out against all of these wealthy and powerful men, Epstein, Les Wexner, Donald Trump, and others. And when I heard the news about this attack, I don't know how else to describe it, on E. Jean Carroll, another courageous survivor, I immediately thought of the Epstein survivors and how they must be feeling in this moment. This is their fear realized. Not just a wealthy individual coming after them, the president of the United States using the power, the full power of the United States government to attack a survivor of sexual abuse. That's what's happening.